Get connected, Fitchburg. Sign up for Fitchburg Connect, the city's monthly e-newsletter that keeps you informed about all the events, services, and updates that matter to you. Get it in your inbox once a month. Sign up today to get Fitchburg Connect.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Call to order for the July 9th meeting of the Commission on Aging Well. Let's go to approval of the minutes. Anybody have any additions or subtractions? Or to the minutes? If not, a motion to approve?
I would so move.
Second?
Second.
Favor? Aye. Okay, we're jumping right to item number 4, I believe. Department restructure discussion.
Yep. So last month we had a big discussion about the restructure, and I talked a lot about my thoughts and moving forward and the timeline and what that was. And there was a question about how the city was looking at this restructure, and so I asked Adam to come and sort of give a city perspective about their thoughts about the restructure. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. What do you want to hear from me? I guess because I can give you history here. I can give you kind of where we are today and kind of what my thoughts are going forward. But I guess what are you looking for? Because we start by talking about something.
Why are we doing this?
Okay, we'll start there. Perfect.
The history.
Excellent. That's not a problem.
Yep.
So this was identified as part of a study that we completed in 2023. It's the Baker-Tilly study. So if you ever hear the Baker-Tilly study talked about, that was a study that was a staffing study completed for the entire city. And that plan was adopted by the Common Council. And it had a whole series of recommendations. A lot of our stuff that will be the referendum, those staffing items in the referendum came out of that Baker-Tilly study, which is kind of a long-term roadmap for how we're kind of looking at staffing across the city as a whole. There were 2 recommendations in there that kind of relate to Jill's department specifically. One of those recommendations was to create a leisure service and community services department. We've kind of modified that title, obviously, with Jill's new title, but the intent was to, obviously, we had recreation under the Parks Department. Scott Endel, our Parks Director, he retired about a year ago, 13, 14 months ago. When he retired, we looked at that from the standpoint of, okay, Baker-Tilly, the study recommended that we shift those recreation functions into the senior center director, and then rebrand and retitle that department. So when Scott retired, we did that, and that's when Jill became, what she is today. Part of that.
Now we know.
As part of that, recreation came under Jill. Parks went under Public Works, and we did some restructuring in Public Works as well. The challenge that we have, and the reason we did it then is we don't have any money. There's no money to create new positions. So we did look at creating this as a new position as part of the referendum. I don't believe that was included in the question that was asked to the public. But we had conversations with the council about actually creating a position if the referendum were to be approved that would be this leisure and community services director. I don't think it got in there, and thus when Scott Endel retired, we shifted the recreation department over to Jill. Another recommendation out of the Baker-Tilly study as well was shifting the healthy neighborhoods also to the community, the leisure services director or Jill's department. So once again, when Scott retired, we did some additional restructuring. We shifted Jessica underneath Jill as well too, and that was also recommended from the Baker-Tilly study. And the intent of that study, and it's online, and I'm happy to send it to you, and you can read it if you'd like, But there's a lot of overlap as we look at kind of what the senior center was doing and what recreation was doing, what the H&I was doing as well too. There's a strong focus obviously on social services and trying to get those under one umbrella in essence. You know, we struggle do where we silo ourselves into our departments. So you have certain departments, for better or for worse, they're focused on what they're doing. And as we talked holistically about just social services, recreation, reaching seniors, reaching a younger population with a lot of our rec programs, how we start to bring that together. And this was kind of the overall holistic approach we looked at of, you know, as we evolve, as we continue to have the inability to create more positions and to expand, how do we do better internally and kind of look at our current structure and hopefully make that better to be more efficient, knowing the financial constraints that we have. So we got there based upon that study, tried to put it in the referendum, didn't happen, and then when Scott Endel retired, that was the opportunity that we could easily restructure the best we could without impacting, you know, having a new employee coming in was the time to look at. If we would have kept the structure, it would have been more challenging to do a future restructure at some point. You're dealing with more people, more personalities. There was never going to be an ideal time to do it just because, you know, change is tough for our employees as well too. We started shifting around duties, but that's when it really kind of said we need to do something and look at this and then implement this recommendation. We've been going through the recommendations in this Baker-Tilly study. We've gotten a lot of them checked off. I mean, this is in the list, there's 10, 11. We kind of get in a lot of these. We haven't done some of them. I mean, you keep hearing about public safety needs out in the conversations in the public. That's another area that we're going to focus on in the coming years, and that's one of the mayor's priorities as well too, public safety and staffing of, you know, fire department or police department. But those are also recommended in the study that we're trying to use this as our guide when we attempt to create new positions or as opportunities arise, restructure positions. So that's how we got there.
So how was Scott's position and salary reallocated when he retired?
We hired a parks manager.
Okay.
So that parks manager was hired. His name's Eric. He oversees the forestry and also the parks operations there.
Is that a different title?
Yes. So it was Parks and Recreation Director, and then as the restructuring, that was changed to Parks Manager.
So you saved a little money there probably?
I don't know the savings because we, as part of some restructuring, there were different adjustments made in salaries as well too. So there wasn't really a savings there, and if it was a savings, it wasn't.
Minuscule.
Yeah, you're not talking much.
When was this study conducted?
It
What
was
year?
It was completed in 2023. I think beginning of 2023. I think it was work 22, completed and adopted in 23.
Well, as things have changed, do you take a look at that? I mean, is everything still in alignment with where we are today?
With the implementation of this study?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been.
I'm assuming that you guys take a look at that to say, hey, is this still, you know, what we need to do as things have changed in general?
Yeah, we're still working off it. We're still trying to get through kind of the recommendations in there. So that's something Sarah, our HR director, on, and obviously that's used as a framework as we look at positions too. So we haven't gone back and redone it, but we continue to kind of review it and look at where we're at from an implementation standpoint. At some point, you know, we're going to get through a lot of the recommendations, and probably at that point it's going to be, let's pick this thing back up again, whether externally do it, but it's only 3 years old as of now.
How does the lack of new staffing hinder this reorganization? What are the gaps?
I mean, the gaps are, I mean, obviously Jill's doing a lot here, but I mean, it's when there's no staff, when there's no additional funding for staff, we'll just assume that's the case. I mean, as we look at budgets and Jill gets her direct the budget to give for the mayor, you know, we talk about like new programming ideas or ways we can kind of go out and do additional things. You know, the department heads don't like this, but it's got to be cost neutral, or you have to find the money within your current budget. So if you have a new program idea, it's, that's great, but how are you going to do it with your current staffing? And the conversation needs to happen of what needs to drop off, because we can't just keep saying this, do this. There's only so much capacity to go around and money. So if it's cost neutral, but capacity wise, you don't have it, what's going to give? And those are the conversations we have internally. Are there stuff that we're doing holistically as a city that maybe we need to change, maybe we need to stop doing? Because if we stop doing that or change, that'll open up capacity to do what the desires are now. But those are the conversations we always have as department heads and staff of, you're going to try to do more, what's dropping off the backside? Because we can't just keep saying, yeah, do more, keep adding, because I hear it all the time from staff and departments of it. I can't. There's no time in the day. So that's how we look at it, of how do we, I don't want to say squeeze the turnip, but how do you get more out of it, knowing there's no money and knowing that we have to start to give on some of the stuff that maybe we're not being effective on, or maybe we've been doing it for 20 years and we just don't need to keep.
The population and the needs are changing.
That too.
It's
Yes.
unfortunate, a societal kind of concern. There isn't a question here for you, Chad. This is just an observation.
Chad's my boss.
Okay.
Chad's my boss. I'm the deputy city administrator.
Okay.
Chad's the CEO.
Got it. Thank you. It's unfortunate that you are being tasked, or your group is being tasked with meeting needs and interests of youth and elderly, and everybody in between. But really focus, the rec aspect historically has been more of has focused on youth, the needs of youth in the community, and certainly in the senior center, it tends to be those probably the people who actively use the center over 65, about over 50, but the reality, and both of those populations have a smaller voice. So it's not nearly as compelling as the safety and security provided by police and fire, and yet one might argue at least as important. But I'm just hearing, on the street, what I'm hearing is less passion, less public talk about the needs of this team, and that saddens me. And I don't know what the answer to that is. And again, this is societal and goes to the history of where we're at, that young and old don't have the voting power, that everybody in between don't have the voice, the dollars, and the voting power of those in between. I would argue that it is the beginning and end of our goods. There's no question. I mean, no. But I think the question tends to be a little bit more administrative, and we're policy driven, but the reality is we set expectations for Jill and team, and how are you going to do that? How are you going to meet those expectations without the resources to achieve that? Where it seems, when I look at what has happened over the last year, that we are setting you or whoever follows you up for failure. So it behooves us then as a group to do whatever we can to set this new entity, this new agency up for success. So thanks for being here. Thanks for you coming in every day and continuing on. But I do think that it is not tenable for the long term. That's my perspective.
So you mentioned things dropping off. So I guess from a senior center recreation standpoint, are you in a position to talk about what's going to get dropped off?
I mean, there are directives from the city to put forward a don't list, like what things, might you be able to take off your plate.
Citywide.
city,
All departments.
all departments,
are
yeah,
being
not
asked
just,
that question.
yeah, not
What are you
just
doing
myself.
now that you don't think you need to do or should be doing?
Right. And because I'll put them on a list and submit them to the city. One of them we're looking at is the time it takes to do a monthly newsletter and moving that to a bi-monthly. Because we have a lot of reoccurring programs. Things could be advertised 2 months in a row, and it would take a lot of time off Dave's plate because we're up to a very large newsletter now. We've got a lot going on. That's one big thing. We're gonna sit down and really evaluate the programs, what's working, what's not working, what's bringing more value, what's taking up space is always an issue. That's another thing. I'd like to look at a weekend for parties at the community center.
You said no weekend?
No weekend, just parties. Midweek, there is some rentals, not very many, but there's a lot of user groups that are nonprofits. But through this discussion and this restructure, as resources are, tighter, maybe we look at the weekend building attendance for night shift somewhere else, to support more programming, so we can continue to serve the community. So that's crossed my mind. Those are just two of the top ones right now, but reevaluating our programming. Both Rec too. There's only 2 staff there. And so we're lucky that we can lean on a lot of volunteers, all of you, doing programs and activities, and that's there could be a world in which, Rec has more volunteers to support them as unpaid staff like we do. So just looking at a lot of stuff.
So I have a question. With Baker Tilly and or the city, and when you did this merging, what was your vision for infrastructure when bringing these 3 sections together?
What do you mean structure?
Just how you all saw this structure going, how it's working, how you merged the 3 of them.
Sure, I'll speak personally. I mean, I'll speak to what my feelings are just on kind of senior center and rec. I mean, I see that, I've seen this, I've thought this for years, but I mean, I think over time, I see the senior center probably evolving. I mean, different generations are coming in, different groups are coming in. And then you've got the senior center kind of with their program, and you've got the rec with their programming. I think representative, typically rec has been kids, and seniors have been seniors, obviously. Over time, I see that coming together more than probably it has in the past. I think there's a lot of overlap there. I think there's a lot of potential, especially with grandparents and grandkids nowadays, probably doing programs together. I mean, that's one thing I've heard more about than I heard about 20 years ago. That desire. I'll be honest, my parents are 75. They have said, I will not go to the senior center where they live. They're like, we're not going there. That's not what we do. So, and their friends don't go either. So I see this as, okay, how are we evolving as is it truly a senior center or is it more of a community center? But how do we kind of get, in a dream world in my eyes, all those groups are coming together. I think there's a lot to learn that younger generations can learn from seniors and vice versa. So I see that overlap, and I see this kind of, okay, we had these 2 silos kind of built. How do we kind of break those walls down and get it together? I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's kind of my vision of, okay, if we're tight on budgets, God, we could have a yoga class where you could have 20-year-olds and you could have 65-year-olds. There's nothing wrong with that. How do we make that happen? And part of that is, for better or for worse, when you say senior center, that automatically just drops off, anybody what the age would be, but it drops off a bunch of people, like my friends who are, I'm 45. So anyone my age would not go to class. So over time, I just see this, how do we merge it together? Because there's so much overlap, but it's also good to get that interaction, I believe, between those 2 groups. And I think there's a way to make it happen. And I mean, that's kind of my vision and dream of it coming together somehow.
So thank you for that, and your comment about people not wanting to go to the senior center. We certainly have had those conversations as well, and that is real. Absolutely, there's some people that word really creates a concern for people. But on the other side of that, we've got these three departments we've merged together, and in terms of it just being a senior center, it really is a community engagement center. I mean, they're servicing those three departments that you merged together are servicing all citizens within Fitchburg. So to your point about the change of the name, we've had those kind of discussions as well. So thank you for sharing that.
I have a question. In one of the, I guess, future looks at and so on, I understand that there's a YMCA that is to be built. Is there any thought of how that's going to affect the programming or the services that we offer, and how do we plan for that in the future?
I've been thinking about it a lot, and I was going to reach out to Adam to see if we could set up a meeting, because what I don't want to do is move forward and change things with REC and duplicate any and that partnership that we could build. They had appears to be a beautiful facility with a lot of meeting rooms and affordable childcare and cooking facilities, and so I see the why as you've seen things evolve, like the library, like they're getting into more programming. It used to be you come, you swim, you play racquetball, you did your exercise class, and you go home. But they're meeting the needs of the community, just like other agencies didn't start in a social service sort of field, but they're moving that way because there's more need. But I do want to, sooner than later, develop a partnership and understand what they're going to do. They're closer to Ally Drive, they're on a bus line, they might have more affordable programs than our department does. And so I just want to make sure that we work together to reach the people that need to be reached and not compete. And the same for older adults. I mean, when we, older adult exercise programs are very popular at YMCA's. Our instructor used to teach there for years and then come over here. And so what are we looking at, And so, yeah, it's very important to get with them, sooner than later, to start building that partnership and relationship. So good question.
It's a real good question.
And also the hub, how can we, how can we expand into that? I mean, that's certainly a very tantalizing resource.
Beautiful facility.
But staffing, of course, then is the issue. And
That's the issue.
right.
I know Jill and I have talked, I've had conversations with the departments, how do we kind of shift some of our programming up there?
Yeah.
I will say for 2027, so next year, we're looking at all this building, so with the police moving out, so we are looking at utilizing that space more temporarily for especially meetings, possibly office space. So 2027 is probably kind of off the table for conversations because we have to reallocate our meetings and staff. But yeah, that's the issue is staffing. So as Jill and I have talked, it's just how do we encourage, whether it be just current rec programming, program we have, is there a way to shift it up into that space? But unless there's actually a dedicated staff member to be there during the course of the day, it's going to be that sporadic. And it's a beautiful space, as you said, but
Could REC use that more fully than the little space they have here?
from an office day, the challenge of the office space is the handling of money. So
Sorry?
it's the handling of cash and money. So they take a lot of money and how that operates and how that goes is they need to be able to get that back up to the front counter and get that secured. And then it becomes a security issue from a money handling and processing standpoint. If they have to actually take the money and then drive it up every single day, it becomes how we process our cash and handler our money. We have to change some processes and probably do some additional security up there, more internally and also just externally, just because it wasn't set up for that. There's an office there. I use that because it's a tables. So it's not It's not a typical office area per se.
So what was the building set up for? I'm sorry.
No, so that was, it was before my time. That's why I kind of paused there a little bit. So obviously it was set up to be used obviously as a community space. I don't know how much consideration was given to the back side of that, you've got a beautiful outdoor space, so obviously it speaks for itself. You know, basketball, you've got a great playground, you've got the pump track in the back. That, yeah. I think there was a desire, probably from our former parks director, to have, rentals up there, mostly like you have for parties and birthday parties. We haven't opened that up, partially because of the wear and tear that we've seen in our current facilities that those take on our equipment and our tables. And we're concerned with that, but two, we're concerned that doesn't really meet the needs of the community. Just by renting it out for parties is, sure, we can check that box and move on, but how do we effectively use that space to kind of actually benefit the community? And that, I honestly, we haven't figured that out yet. And part of that is we can't figure that out because ideally you put a staff member to kind of run that. We can't do that. So then how do we take our current staff and start reallocating or moving programs up there? So that's why with the grants we've been our partners in that to use that space as part of their outreach. So we've been trying to take these, I don't want to say passive approaches, but these indirect approaches where we know it's cost neutral for us to get that space program. But how it was set up was, it was a community space, but I don't think enough was probably given on the backside of, okay, let's put some examples of how we're going to program this. So I'm not blaming anybody. It's easy for us as a city. It's easy to build. So that's a capital expense. So when we're building buildings, we can borrow money. We can do that. Those we don't have as many limits, different pots of money. But once you actually get into how do you operate it, that's where we're heavily restricted by the state formulas that are in place. So we can borrow a lot of money, you can build stuff. That's why you can continue to see things being built. That's why we can have conversations about remodeling this building because we're just going to borrow the money. We're not as restricted in that. But as soon as we talk about operating staff, then we get into our levy limit constraints by the state.
Okay. I will say, sorry. Real quick, at the Hasta-Hochi, there's an event with Rooted next week on Thursday night, and it's open to the public, and it's a community meal, it's vendors, it's face painting, and so Jessica's been going to all the apartment buildings around there, giving flyers, meeting with managers to let them know going to be a year. There's two events in August, and then there's one more event in actually maybe September and October. So Allied Drive also, their food pantry got a grant, so there's gonna do 2 farmers markets up there. Rooted is coming back and partnering with River Food Pantry, and they're gonna do another community meal and sort of a back to school. So it's gonna serve that area, so people will be able to see and come to it.
A quick question though, was the Hasta-Hochi a part of the Baker-Tilly report?
No.
It was long before.
Was that?
No. I mean, these conversations started before COVID.
Oh yeah, it's been a long road to get to the Hasta-Hochi.
Yeah. And that project was paid for with park fees. So when developments happen, park improvement, park dedication fees. So that's an entirely park fee project.
And in those initial discussions, there was another building on the other side of the street next to the High Line that was supposed to be built as even more of a community center, and that's been taken out, right?
Correct. That's been removed by the mayor from the CIP.
Yeah.
But is the hub considered a city property or Parks and Rec? And so, for example, could the library have programming up there?
They do.
They've been up there.
Yeah, they go up
Would
there.
Is there voting
Yep,
there?
there's voting up there. So we've moved, that's a polling location for us. So each election now that's being used for that. The library's up there, they're up there yesterday. But they're up there a few times a month for some of their activities.
So it is being used for, it's kind of scattered, but it
It's
is being used for other
scattered,
things.
And part of the scattering too, I mean, it was somewhat from our standpoint, we're trying to figure the space out ourselves. It's new and can we use it and how can we effectively use it as well. But it is being used, but to your point, scattered.
And we can send independent contractors up there, you know, to do programs. But what I want to be, feel safe about is that those independent contractors, they can, you know, open the door and then lock the door. Because people are they're gonna see there's a lot of windows, there's gonna see programs and activities. And I was just talking to an old instructor, and she does something in Middleton in the same situation. She goes to a park shelter that has lots of windows. She hosts a program, but she has to lock the doors. But then people are knocking because they want to get in, and I don't want to send that message to the general public. Nope, you know, this is for members only. So sort of managing those dynamics of, do you put it on an independent contractor to make sure the doors are locked? And if people are knocking, how do they deal with that? And so, but you know, that's kind of my vision, is we could put some programs up there, just managing the dynamics of people that might try to get in, or do we leave it open? We just don't have staff to sit up there and manage that. So
Could you just post?
So can,
here.
a question? So who actually oversees the hub, the Hasselhoff? What department is over that?
Right now, it's still me. So
It's still you?
It's still me. So it's maintained by, the outside's maintained by our park staff. And then the inside is maintained by our maintenance staff. But right now it's myself, and then also our parks manager has involvement in that as well too.
Oh, okay, thank you.
It won't be like that long term.
Where do you see it being?
Parks. So it's gonna be parks because we'll treat it
As a recreational space?
because it was built. We're gonna treat it as we have to treat it as a park shelter.
Okay.
Even though it's different.
Right.
So do rentals then, you think?
Rentals in the true form of
Rentals.
like birthday party rentals.
Not yet.
I don't see that happening yet.
There's an outside part.
There's an outside part on the north side that we are not renting out.
Okay.
And we decided not to rent that out to see how it gets used organically.
Mm-hmm.
And then without knowing what was gonna be in this inside, we wanted to have the flexibility to program and fly on the inside, but then not create a potential conflict on the outside when that's fully rented and then the inside's fully rented. Now we also still have the restroom shut down there as well too, which is complicating things. So it's just working through items. And it's still punch list items on that project too. We're still doing with the contractor, so it's still technically not fully done.
They seem like a small question and perhaps already asked and answered, but do we have a description for the new entity that Jill and I guess by extension this group is responsible or involved with? I mean, a description perhaps out of the Baker-Tilly study or something the city has put together? And similarly, Jill, do you have a new job description? And that might help a little bit in defining the new entity if the city hasn't already done that?
Yeah, we can send you the job description and the Baker-Tilly study.
Oh, I have the job description.
Yeah.
How about the description or the vision then from the city for this newly created entity?
So we'll look at.
Yeah.
We can send you what's in the Baker-Tilly. Part of this is when this transition to, you know, we have on this from our administrative standpoint. We want to be flexible and not. We want to be able to guide this within the constraints that we have. So I mean, we typically don't lay out this is how you're going to do it. We try not to keep that top heavy from that standpoint. You know, that's why we have obviously Jill here to help guide what that's going to look like. So you'll have the Baker-Tilly, you'll have the job itself, but part of this is, you know, for this first year especially has been, let's figure this out here. Let's see what this looks like and see what we can build this into. So I have that written down probably exactly how you want that.
Do you have any idea of how the space that the police department is going to vacate is going to be used and how that may change what happens in the existing space that the senior center and rec operate in?
Yeah, so here it's going to be used for offices and meeting rooms. So right now,
Meeting rooms for
there'll be additional public meeting spaces here, so we'll be adding about 1,500 square feet of public meeting space as part of this. This room that we're in today will get bigger, and then FACTv will actually get relocated down a floor, and there'll be an additional meeting room behind here. And then we'll be reworking some of the council chambers where the bathrooms are. There'll be additional public meeting space, and then possibly meeting space at all. So this floor will be kind of set up as the public access standpoint, and then as we work on the senior center area, we'll be kind of securing some of those areas, because obviously right now you can walk into Jill's office. We're gonna be looking at probably just adding some, not from a security standpoint, but also from an efficiency standpoint of just, you know, having some doors there. So if you're looking to talk to Jill, you'll have to kind of check in and have that versus just. We won't give you a key fob then.
So are some people gonna be working remotely during the remodeling?
You were working through that, so we do have some space in the new police facility that we're gonna temporarily put people into. We have space in Fire Station 1 and Fire Station 2, and Fire Station 3 if necessary.
Is Fire Station 1 the one on Lacey?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we need to continue, so it's gonna be a two-stage process. This would be done first. Second stage would be the community center. So it's probably in 27, we've talked about this too, of looking at using the Prairie Room as potentially temporary staffing. So we still have to maintain a presence here of some type, and we haven't kind of gone through this yet with the council, but we're looking at, you know, putting kind of clerks and finance possibly over in the community center as a temporarily office. So we still have this as a site that people can come to and pay a proper, or, you know, get a dog license, something simple as that. But then the rest of the departments, we'd have their current flexibility with remote work, but then also looking at temporary housing in different city buildings. The bigger challenge is we have 24 cities, commissions, and committees, and how we're gonna move those meetings around. And looking at how we're gonna record or broadcast and do all that as well too. That's might be the more complicated piece.
Because you're gonna have access to all of this. When you
Well, this will be gone. This will be wiped
That's
out.
what I mean, electronics.
They have to be recorded.
That's part of the conversation.
Okay.
Well, who's
I
gonna
didn't know.
use all these meeting rooms if they're not, I mean, they're just for anyone that wants to have a meeting? For example, there are 2 meeting rooms at the library now that can be reserved.
Yep.
Would they be on a reserved basis for people, for any group in the city, or open, walk-in?
It'd be our current practice what we have today. So right now, a lot of these rooms during the course of the week, we have a hard time meeting space. So we've got this room here that we use a lot for public meetings or with developers or with members of the public. We've got 213 down the hall. Those are the 2 big ones that we have right now. We also have challenges behind the scenes here, which you probably don't see, is we've got one off for a staff conference room, kind of right behind the wall through there. And then we've got one upstairs as well too. So we don't have many spaces to actually even meet as a staff. So we haven't talked about would it be available to the public, because right now we struggle in certain times of day to find even space across the city for these meetings. I don't see it being used like the community center, but I mean, once it's done and once we see how it's being used, I mean, we can always look at that too.
So you're looking at the possibility of not videotaping public meetings?
I think we'd videotape though, and the commission is the broadcasting side. I know Jeremy's listening here, so he's probably going to the glass in about 2 seconds, but we've kind of loosely just talked about doing broadcast. We'd still videotape. That's.
Well, I know, but
Yeah.
why videotape if you're not gonna broadcast? I mean.
Because then it's still recorded, it's put online, people can go back and watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the whole transparency. Yeah, yeah. It's just logistically, we gotta figure out how we broadcast, if it's not in this building or at the library. I know Jeremy said he can do it, but I talk more.
Anything more for Adam?
We know where to find you.
I can hide pretty good too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anytime for your.
Thank
Thank you.
Hope it was helpful. If not, I can come back. We might, hopefully. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. I'm around if you want to talk.
Next year's gonna be busy for you guys.
I missed
who was going where. How do you feel about the discussion around space for, I think staffing is a known issue. Space for both current, what we would call senior programming and rec programming people.
Well, with the redesign, the plan that they have proposed, that we looked at, adding a couple of spaces down our hallway, taking the conference room and cutting it in half, going around the corner, relocating the wellness room. So that back hallway, so if you go past my office, take a right by Dave's office, that hallway would disappear. And it would be office, because we could just make some offices. The wellness room would be relocated, say right now just for visual, like where the dishwashing area is, but back.
Okay.
And so access then to the wellness room would be on that second hallway. So right now, everybody that's, doing massage and foot care, and they're all coming through all the offices, all, Dave and I, and, so we would switch it, so they would be going there and have access. There's not a lot of extra storage space that we identify we can have in the kitchen. We did identify if there is sort of a locked entry somewhere that we can remove doors. So, because right now, when you have a swinging door, you can't get behind it. You can't, so opening doors and moving a few of the cabinets, the uppers, we'll be able to have more storage and then have a little back room with this redesign.
Kitchen area?
Yeah.
Okay.
There would also be a space for friends, and open seating for LTE staff, or if we have an intern, but it would all kind of be behind this remodel, sort of where the conference room is. There's going to be a hallway through that conference room, that small conference room, and it's going to go right into Susie's office. So staff then, friends, you can mill about back there, because right now everybody's coming through Susie's door, kind of like she's just open access to everyone. Right. So that she'll be more sort of in her own kind of office, and then there'll be an office behind there with a door, but there'll be all the copy stuff, so it's not available to the public anymore, except for, the board and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know if the final design has been approved yet.
What about the rec team?
So the rec team, for sure, because, when we remodeled in 2012, they didn't do anything with that up there. We put a couple more meeting rooms in the back, or the one. And so that's a big change up there because, they're customer service facing and nobody really knows that. The vestibule, right. And so that will be changed quite a bit. The kitchen that's in there now, which is a warming kitchen, it's not like a cooking kitchen. There's not a lot of use in that anymore. I've seen the weekend rentals and the parties go down over the years. There's other opportunities to go other places. There's been a little decrease in party rentals because they kind of raise their fees to match a little bit more of the market rate. And so people are like, well, I could go here and get some nicer stuff. You know what I mean? And so we've seen a decrease, which is why I'd like to talk to the city about maybe just not doing parties. It is a community center. And again, I want to meet the community needs, but look at the cost and the benefit and the expenses. Let's make a good decision that's fiscally responsible. But getting rid of that kitchen then will allow, so right now they've got 7 summer staff, LTEs. They're all just crammed in that little office and all their supplies are in there. So we would knock out that wall in between the rec department and that kitchen, and then that would become an office space as well. So then in future years, there's room for expansion. There's room for expansion for us too, if we had a program assistant or administrative assistant or something like that. So it all makes sense, I think.
But does that put to rest the idea of expanding the kitchen facilities downstairs?
No.
Yes, it puts it to rest because we got to bump out into that hallway a little bit. So it does, but I think we'll be okay with, Mandy and I talked a lot about it and what that can look like. And things around using some equipment that would be more conducive in there instead of 2 refrigerators, getting a bigger one, things like that we can make more space. You know, it's just it's that moment of getting out all the home delivered meals, you know, everything's so crammed in there. But yeah.
Barb's question about the why, I think is huge.
I do too.
It's a giant, and I think the sooner you get with them, the better.
Yeah. I know.
That could really, it could influence your physical space, the remodeling you're talking about.
Well, my understanding.
Yes.
Go
I mean,
ahead.
it really could. If you know exactly what they're planning on doing, it might influence what we're doing here.
Right, because the community needs may shift in some ways.
Well,
especially
that
for
community
youth.
needs, but also from a infrastructure standpoint, from a building, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, boy, you gotta
No, I
connect.
agree.
That's gonna be big though.
It
In a
is.
good way, but.
In a good way.
When that will be for sure?
I think they said, does anyone remember the article, like next summer?
Yeah, they start.
They've already
Yeah.
started. Yeah,
They started, yeah.
open next summer, right?
Yeah, I have.
Ooh, I don't know if this is that. It's soon. It's soon though.
It is soon. It was soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Available next school year, so the 27, 28,
So for
they're
next-
saying they'll have daycare available
Yeah.
the 27, 28.
Yeah,
So it must be next summer.
yeah. You know, and maybe I can get them to come in and talk to us, because I think I do think it's gonna impact us. I think it would not be wise to not figure out a partnership with them and what that looks like and who
Oh, for sure.
they're gonna serve.
What are they thinking?
Right,
Long-term plans for their facility.
right, yeah.
Is most of the rec that you do inside rec versus, outside rec versus the Y would be inside rec?
You know, I don't know if I know they do day camps, just like we do
They
day
do,
camps. Yeah, so I'm not
Yeah.
positive.
So, just
It says-
looking on,
It says early 2028.
it says
Oh, okay.
18-month construction project expected to begin in the fall of 2026, so a year and a half.
So early 28,
Yeah.
2 swimming pools.
yeah.
Is that the
Childcare.
Madison Y or is it a Fitchburg Y?
No, it's
They're
Madison.
shutting the one in Madison, the one on Odana is
Yeah, okay,
shut
so
down.
that means their clientele is gonna be the city of Madison in addition to
Oh, yeah,
other.
Did you say the one on Odana's shutting down?
Yes.
that's a 60-year-old building, yeah.
That's
I
gonna
didn't
shut
realize
down.
I knew it was old, I didn't realize it was that old.
It's old, and I don't, they're gonna knock it down or use it for something else, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's, I never thought about that, Barb, until you brought it up.
Oh, yeah, it's big. And it's so close to here.
Yeah, it's so
Well,
close.
and being on a bus route,
On a bus route.
Yeah, that's the other
the
piece.
history and the awareness of programming, I have to think they'd be able to.
And they're part of Silver Sneakers, so that
Right.
there's some seniors
Oh,
that'll
yeah.
automatically have memberships to the Y just because of that
100%.
health
Because they're gonna
insurance.
market the heck out of it.
Oh, and they'll get people, especially with 2 pools. I think one is supposed to be a warm water pool.
Right.
No, I agree. I think it's gonna impact us and, in a lot of ways.
Indoor walking track, 2
There
full
we go.
gymnasiums, and 6 pickleball courts. So get rid of your
Oh, no, maximum
pickleball.
pickleball.
That's a to don't.
That's great.
Oh, that indoor-outdoor question though remains, you have to believe like outdoor season would still be popular.
Well, but
But
how many
indoor.
pickleball courts are there in the city?
9,842.
Did you say indoor, but they have indoor?
It says indoor, it's difficult to say, but I assume it's indoor because they're including it with the 2-story fitness center, indoor walking track. There's your winter walking,
Yeah.
2 full gymnasiums, and 6 pickleball courts.
So it doesn't really specify, but yeah, I would imagine there's some indoor access.
Well, yeah, that'd be pretty easy to do, indoor pickleball.
How many square feet is this building?
I
Oh my gosh. And 2
doesn't
pools?
tell me, but it gets back to that whole thing of community center, and I don't. I'm always surprised when people say, well, that they're 75 and they don't want to come to senior center.
I understand too, I'm a lot younger than that, and I've been going to senior center since I've been 62, so.
Ditto.
I mean, it's what's offered there, it's not the name of it.
Right.
But for
So-
some people, that does bother them. We've had that discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, because the age 70, what it used to like is not the same today. People look at that age very different. They don't look like, 70. Oh, I'm a senior. So there's a lot of look at it on, your view of everything.
It's the same
Yeah.
people that don't want to be called grandma, I guess, but.
But I think,
Yeah.
I think it's,
Yeah.
I thought about this a lot. I think it's because people like his parents are probably really active and biking and kayaking and things. We do that.
Yeah.
Active Women's Club, they do kayaking and we do biking and we do yoga and we do kayaking and hiking and all these different things. But I think what is that all it comes to a point where friends of theirs that they really like all of a sudden can't physically do some of those things anymore, or somebody in their couple group, their husband or wife, suddenly something happens and they can't do all those things anymore, and their whole perspective on things changes after that happens. And people are living longer, as we see in the senior center with all the 90+ people that we've had that we've congratulated for at our luncheon that we have. So there's a lot more, people are living a lot longer, plus there's also more people living in their homes for a longer period of time.
Yep.
And so they don't have that socialization, so they come to the senior center to find people that are like-minded and people and to be stimulated mentally. If you can't do physical things, you can
So the
still get
reverse
out.
of that would be the why.
Right.
It's on the bus line.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot more involved physically active things. If people think seniors are more sedate,
Right.
so they may be more apt to look at the Y for programming.
But the senior center doesn't charge. The Y is expensive.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Silver sneakers is like a quarter of the
It's free in your programs. Yeah.
It'll be
And
interesting.
it's not just senior. It's not just the silver sneaker thing. There's most of health insurance is now offer a gym membership. They're trying to keep them as active as well. So, yeah, that's a big impact. But at the same time, you've got a lot of people now saying they don't want to be called senior. They'd rather be called older adult. And that's starting to be nationwide. So it's a lot behind, that term, senior center or seniors, period.
Well, that's another discussion we could have
Well,
in
that
more
is
detail
part of our
as we make all this
rebranding.
changing.
Right.
Anyway,
Teasing out the different
Yeah.
mission, where overlaps in health and wellness or sense of community are in the WISE mission versus the community center's mission. Would be fruitful discussion.
Yeah, when you were asking about, is there anything written or anything like that? And there really isn't. And that's why, having a mission and a vision statement and really understanding what is the role. And, now it's not, and when I talk about not taking away, but maybe we don't do rentals, but, we still have to keep, this is a place where neighborhood associations meet for free, condo associations. A lot of user groups use this because this is their community center paid by taxpayer dollars. So it is important because I do think, the Y is great, but this is community.
Yeah.
The Y is going to have Madison and Verona and blah, you know what I mean? So where's our niche? And how do we make sure that, not that we, stay relevant, because I always stay relevant. But again, I don't want to duplicate. I don't want to compete with silver sneakers if
right,
that's
that's
where it's
not what
going
we're
to
trying
be.
to do.
Exactly.
Right. So thanks for bringing that up. It's been on my mind when I saw the groundbreaking. I was like, oh man, I've been hearing about the Y for years, and now it's here, and it is important for us to understand what they're doing.
You bet.
So.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So we support the agent well. We support the senior center. Does the rec department have a similar commission?
No. They used to be under Parks and Rec, and that's part of the rebranding and the board restructure is how do we represent the community now, not just older adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Maybe this gets bigger, right?
Maybe, right. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to a report from the Senior Center Friends.
Okay, we had about dollars in allocations this month for the senior center. 3 scholarships for senior fitness, and also it included setting 2 people up with with households that they needed to get set up, and they found housing for them. And otherwise, the other parts of the report are that the travel club has been very successful. Rita Thomas has gotten an online travel club for the senior. And a lot of people have been joining, so that she's going to be having a program September 30th at 1:30 with the Mayflower representative in the dining area, so that we can use the new video screens that that we have. And the other thing is that August 21st is the brat. And you get a brat, a cookie, a chip water, and it's $5 cash, please.
That's a good
Did you
deal.
say 31st or 21st?
21st. And you can drive up if you don't want to get out of your car. Someone will bring your brat right to your car, or you can come in and eat, or you can sit in the patio and eat when you get your brat. And they'll be served outside at the drive up, or they'll be served inside in the area. Take it out and eat outside if you like.
Nice.
Any word on vegetarian products?
No vegetarian, sorry.
Okay.
No, just
They tried it last year and it didn't go over real well.
we had them last year, didn't we?
Well, I think they did.
Don't worry about it.
The products that I have tried.
No? Okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
It wasn't worth it?
No.
Okay.
Jill, your report?
As Adam mentioned, it's budget time, so just really doing a close look at the 2 new budgets that are under me now, Rec and H&I, understanding where their expenses are, what that looks like, and so spending some time just diving into that, working a lot on the H&I grant program and what that's going to look like in 2027. Been a proposal that we will pause that grant program in 2027 to look at a redesign because it's 10 years old and it hasn't been looked at for a long time.
And is that fully grant funded? It's all soft money?
It is some levy as well as some TID closure money that is in there that funds it. So spending some time on that. We are averaging over 300 people a day coming into the center, which is great, but you feel it. Usually we're about 250, but this summer it's been over 300, and so.
I think it's the heat.
I think there's just a lot of good stuff going on.
That's true too. Yeah.
Lunch and learns are good. Everything is good, and so I feel good about that. You mentioned. The friends and their generosity. Just a really nice story of a client that had been living in an apartment with family and kids, sharing a bed with a granddaughter in the living room. And Katie was able to get her into McKee Park, and she didn't have a bed or anything, but it's her first place, her own apartment. And so the friends graciously just a bed for her. She said the first night she slept like a princess. So it's just the things that you guys do is amazing, and
That's
so
pretty cool.
that continues to be an issue is evictions and housing. We're working with a couple in the trailer park to try to get them into McKee Apartments because a tree fell on one of their trailers. So anyway, they're very busy with that. Sarah, our bilingual social worker, is keeping very busy, really meeting the needs of our Spanish-speaking clients. We have our first Spanish-speaking RSVP driver, which is great. And so that's been filling a need for folks.
Just never gave a thought to it. It makes sense.
Yeah, because this folks
Especially
don't
in our
speak
community.
English. So that's great. Yeah.
How are the meal numbers?
they're down a little.
Yeah,
Across
I've
Dane
sensed-
County too.
I've sensed that.
Yep, yep. It ebbs and flows. It just takes 2 regular people to go off, you know, routes change and everything. But yeah, they're definitely down right now, which is a little concerning because we get funded by number of meals we serve. You know, and we're also in the throes of the Dane County budget. But we've only heard, you know, you'll be lucky if you don't get a cut. Waiting to hear back. And the Department of Human Services puts out their recommendation for their budget, and then that's when the advocacy, you know, county hearings and budget hearings and that kind of stuff. So anyway, the directors put together a proposal, and then we send it to the county that way, because we all do case management, we all do nutrition, and so those are usually our 2 priorities. We just don't cut these at this point in time, so hopefully they won't. Yeah, rec is moving. You know, I'm just learning a lot. It's good to see a summer situation with recreation and where the summer staff is going and what programs they're hosting, what's popular, what's not. So working with them a lot too, just to continue to learn about their roles. Yeah.
Has funding for the Older Americans Act been decreased, or?
It doesn't decrease, but it doesn't increase.
I mean, with
Population.
this current administration, have there been cuts?
No, but again, you know, it hasn't increased for, gosh, you know, 15 years or something.
Have you been cut off of the Meals on Wheels program? That someone asked me that.
Say that
and
again?
I didn't know. Have people been cut off of the Meals on Wheels program because of the administration's lack of
No,
money?
now we did have clients that were on family, which is an Medicaid, you know, provided service, family care. So it's called a care management organization, comes in and case manages them. Many of our people are on family care that we support, even though we're not supposed to. We can't report them, we can't bill for them, but they come to our center. But there was a decision made by Dane County that's why the meals went down, Paul. That had something to do with it.
Because they weren't accepted, they couldn't do the meal.
Said we will not pay for meals for home delivered meal people on family care.
And they still get meals, Dunn
Maybe.
County just isn't.
No, we can't even.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can't deliver to them anymore.
Right.
So right. So they might get meals delivered from somewhere else, which again, I think I shared that story of somebody just getting, a box of meals out their door that they, So that's why our people were asked, we had to remove from our home delivered meal list.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, which is.
And I've seen one of those boxes. Nothing in there looks appetizing.
Well, and it's
They still need to prepare it themselves.
Right.
And if you consider the people we deliver to.
Most of them probably can't stand at a stove for any period of time.
And it's, that wellness check that you all provide is priceless. It's just priceless. How many times a year somebody finds somebody on the floor? Many. And that's just us.
Or you see things, you see,
Yes,
you see
right.
clutter.
You see change.
You see,
Something's not right.
if you're in a position, you see a lot of unopened mail or boxes.
Yes, yep. Yeah, so that is, that's hard. That's hard, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other announcements, anything folks want to bring up?
Party time tonight.
Are we done the process of mission statement for you setting up?
I think that will be
What to do
our.
about a shared, perhaps, oversight group for your 2 new entities?
Yeah, at next month's meeting, we'll circle back to that. Also, too, I do want to bring in somebody from Beaver Dam.
Oh, that's right.
That, she manages rec and senior. It's called the Watermark. Just to hear somebody talk about it, but also, to get started on these. And I do think meeting with the why is important before we even develop a mission vision statement.
I would agree with that.
So,
that could be a game changer.
How we serve the community.
For rec too?
I think more for rec than us even.
Yeah.
So that's where that's at.
Okay. Next meeting is August 13th. No other business. Motion to adjourn.
I so move.
One second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're done.
Aye.
Who seconded that?
I did, Von Sesh.